Okay, so here is the chapter 16 homework. I didn't mention it in the discussion of the chapter, but when you parse verbs, he's going to give you an inflected form, a form that has a personal ending, or what I also would call an inflectional ending, and you're going to have to parse it and then give the inflected meaning, the meaning of that form in that particular inflected form. If it's a verb, what Mounce is going to do is have you in the homework give the person first and then the number. So first singular, third plural, and so forth. And then tense, voice, mood. Right now, every stinking answer in chapter 16, if it's a verb, is present active indicative. So easy, 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 right? Present tense, voice, active, mood, indicative. Lexical form will be the first singular of the present active indicative. And then the inflected meaning will be whatever the particular form means with that personal ending. All right. Now, keep in mind that he will throw you curveballs and throw some nouns and adjectives in the parsing, in which case it's not a verb, so you're not going to give person, number, tense, voice, mood. You're rather going to give case, number, gender, right? Because the only thing that's going to apply, leave the voice and mood blank. All right. So, are there any questions about the parsings for 1 through 10? Any at all? So for number 1, it's well, that's Lego, right? So that's to say. Yeah. So it could be they are saying or they say. Both are fine for number 1. So they say. We're all clear on the parsing of this. You see that usi ending, you know that's third plural, right? And present, active, indicative, all the way across. What's the lexical form of legusi? Lego. That's right. Lego. That's right. We'll have to start thinking through the different tense options once we learn new tenses. Yes. Yep. All right. Anything else? It probably wasn't that hard, was it? Yeah. Well, that's good. Makes me happy. What's the difference between 4 and 7? They're almost identical. That's sigma, right? So which one is number 4? Which person and number? Second singular. Lue is third singular. Who's the subject in number 4? You. Is that a male or a female you? What's that? We don't know. It could be either one. Good. Lue is he, she, or it. And again, we don't know based on the ending, only by the context. With the men here in 3, which person and number is that? First plural. Legate. What person and number is te? Second plural. Good. Akue. That iota on the end is third singular. Excellent. Pistues, with that sigma after the iota, is second singular. That's right. So how would we translate akue? He, she, it hears or is hearing. Good. Pistuamen. Men is we, right? So we believe. Legate. You, plural, or y'all, are saying or say. And pistues, you believe. You believe. All right, good. Do you believe? that we're done with this one? Let's go on to the warm-ups. Yes, you just put a question mark here, right? Yeah, pistues. Do you believe? Yep. All right. Any questions on the warm-up exercises? Gamma? Yeah. Good question. Let's look at exousia. Well, here, let's read it together, everybody. Ready? Let's do it in unison. Exousion eche hachuias tu anthropu. Okay, good. We have exousion. What case do you think that word is in? It's accusative. You see that new ending? Okay, so that's accusative. So, if it had to have a function, just as your wild guess, it would be what? Direct object. Good. Hachuias is what case? It's nominative. Wild guess as to function? Probably subject, right? So, in order to put this together, I'm going to want to put my subject in English before the verb, even though in Greek it goes after. So it would be the son, tu anthropu, the son of man. Eke, there's my verb, has or holds. Exousion, authority. Yeah. So be aware, these case endings are going to help you to reconfigure into proper English what's functioning how. Well, with that in mind, let's look at delta for a second. Where's my verb form in delta? Blepusin. Blepusin. What person and number is this, looking at the ending here? That's third person plural, okay? Good. So I need to cast about for what an appropriate subject is. Is there a plural subject anywhere in my sentence here in delta? Is that plural? Tutu? No, that's genitive singular, isn't it? See that upsilon there? And tu kosmu is genitive singular. Taphos, that's the light, and it's singular and neuter, and it's either nominative or accusative, right? So I don't have anything plural here that could be the subject of blepusin. So what am I going to make the subject in English? They. So they see, or they are seeing. And that means that taphos, which could be nominative or accusative, a singular neuter, is going to be what? Accusative, okay? Because it's not the subject. Subject's not singular. So you got to try to fit this together, right? It's a little puzzle. If you like puzzles, don't try to shove something that doesn't fit into the wrong size hole, right? So we're going to make this the direct object. So they see or are seeing the light. And then tu kosmu is genitive because it's in a genitive relationship with light. The light of tu kosmu, the world. And what's tutu here? Yeah, it's the demonstrative. And remember, demonstrative words can be demonstrative pronouns or demonstrative adjectives. Which use is it here? It's the demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjectives will agree with the noun they modify how? Case, gender, number. And we got that, don't we? So it's the adjective use. So the light of this world. All right, good. That all make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Ada. Let's look at Ada. Everybody, let's read this. Ready? Kai akue ha tu floss tain phonain. All right, so kai is and. Akue, is that a noun or a verb or an adjective? Ah, there's a verb. Good. Which ending is this? Third singular. So I might cast about for a singular subject. Is there something that would possibly qualify here? Hatu floss. That's nominative, isn't it? And it's singular, masculine. So how would I translate this? And the blind hears, hears or is hearing. And then tain phonain is what case? Yeah, that's accusative, singular feminine, right? So we're going to make that the direct object. That's the subject. So the blind hears the voice. Mm-hmm. Yes. Watches a lot of TV. I don't know if any of you ever watched The Voice. Well, some people hear the voice, don't they?
Would you, in translating that, would you put the blind one? Because typically in English vernacular.
Yeah, because in English, if we just say the blind, what do you assume the number is? You assume plural, don't you? So yes, if you want to specify that in Greek it's a singular form, add something like the blind man or the blind one. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Other questions? Can I just ask you, for akuomen, what's the person and number of that inflectional ending? First plural. Translate akuomen. We are hearing, or we hear. What about luete? What's that personal ending? Second plural. Translate luete. You are, with the u, you are not loosing, or you don't loose. By the way, remember in English, whenever you negate a verb, you're going to have to use an auxiliary verb. Do, right? We don't say in English, you loose not, anymore. We don't say that. Shakespeare said it, but we don't say that. He looseth not. Okay, so you have to say you do not loose. Okay, and if it's a question, if your verb has a question, then you're going to have to use do or does in your translation of the question, right? So, for example, if I had kai akue hatu flas tain phonain, and then the Greek question mark here, how would you translate that? It's no longer a statement of fact, right? How would you translate this? Well, it's not past tense, so, and does the blind man hear? Right? And does the blind man hear? Does hear is present tense. And does the blind man hear the voice? Okay? So when you're taking a present active indicative verb and it's become a question that could be answered with yes or no, actually, I guess any sort of content question as well. What do you hear, right? Whom do you hear? Not whom you hear. So you're going to have to use the do auxiliary verb. That's hard for Spanish speakers, I understand. Spanish doesn't have the do auxiliary verbs. So when do we use them? Well, this is one of those situations in English we use them. Okay? All right. Let's go on to the translation homework. Any questions on these puppies? Shall we look at 10? That's tiny. All right. Let's go ahead and we'll read it, shall we? You guys ready? All right. We'll make that a little smaller. All right. Out loud and together. Legusin un to flow pollen ti su leges peri autu hati ene oxen su tus ophthalmus hade apen hati prophetes estin hutos estin ho huios humon hon humes legate hoti tu flos egenethe pos un blepe arti apecrithe un ekenos hamartolos estin uk oida hen oida hoti tu flos on arti blepo. Okay. Let's see. Shall we put David on the hot seat, make him translate this for us? What's legusin mean?
They are saying.
Okay, so it could be they are saying or they say. Un. What's that?
Really? Truly?
Therefore. Therefore. And this is a post-positive conjunction, which means it goes in what position? Second, right? It goes in second position, but in English we will translate it first. Okay? So we would say therefore. Now, the present tense in Greek can be used in ways that are a little unusual. And if you were to go to, let's see, where is it? It's on page 138, number 6. He mentions this use of the present tense in a historical present. That is to say that in telling a narrative or in relaying a story, sometimes the present tense is used even though, by all accounts, everyone understands the action to be past. Our translations will translate these historic presents as past tense verbs, even though technically they are present tense. Okay? So if you were to look this passage up in a Bible translation, it will probably say, therefore they said. Okay? So just be aware of that, even though this is technically a present active indicative third person plural form. So therefore they said, or they say, to flow pollen. What's that mean?
Blind again.
Yes, to the blind. To the blind what?
Man.
To the blind man, right? That could be neuter or masculine, dative singular. But if we're talking about a person, masculine, right? So to the blind man again. And so this is what they say. Ti su leges peri autu. What's T? Tis is usually who.
What?
Yeah, this is the neuter form, tis and T. So what you say concerning him. Now, what do we got to add here since this is a question? It's not what you say, but what do you say concerning him? Hati ane oxen. Because he...
Is that or because?
Well, yeah, hati could be that or because. We don't really have enough context here to make a good educated guess on this one, do we? So let's hold them both in our hands here for a moment. So that or because he opened su tus ophthalmus, your eyes. So what do you say about him? Probably because he opened your eyes. Hade apen. What's that mean? Yeah, so remember, day is a post-positive conjunction. Joins clauses. It could be but he said. It could also be and he said. Okay? It doesn't have to be contrastive, although sometimes the clauses that day begins are contrastive. It doesn't have to be. So and or but, he said. So here the article seems to be functioning like a pronoun, right? Because there's no noun that accompanies the article. That's basically a stand-in for he. So but or and he said, hati prophetes estin. Okay. This is not the that is the demonstrative that. Rather, it's the that introduces a dependent clause. He said that he is a prophet. Okay? So the subject here seems to be the he of the third person singular inflection of estin, and the prophetes would be the predicate nominative. Okay? He said that he is a prophet.
That's a clause of the prophetes estin. Would you call that a demonstrative clause?
I would just say that this is a hati clause that functions as a content. Really, it's a content clause, right? It's really the object of apen. It's what he said. He said X. What fills that slot? The direct object of apen is a hati clause. Now, he doesn't give you any context. It is possible as well that this could be he said that a prophet is such and such. Okay? He's chopped this up, so we don't really have the full story here. So we would want more context before we had made a final conclusion here. And I can't remember what he says in his answer key at this point. Anybody remember what he's got there? For hati prophetes estin? Yeah, so he does go with that. He is a prophet. So subject is the implied he here. What does he do with the hati up here? Is it because? Because. Yep. Okay, good. Now, next we have hutas estin, hahuias humon. So, how are we going to translate that?
He said the son your.
There's no he said here, right?
Estin.
Yeah, estin is just is.
Oh,
Right? So what's hutas? Hutas is the near demonstrative. So this is your son. Okay, so remember, there's this blind man, and his parents have been summoned to give an account for the blind man being healed by Jesus and now being able to see. Okay, so this one is your son. Han humes legate, whom you say hati tu flas eganethe. Yeah, that blind he was born. Now, we're going to put that in good English, right?
that he was born blind.
Yes, that he was born blind. So, look at tu flas. That is a nominative form, isn't it? Okay? And that makes it possible for tu flas to be the subject. But would that make sense here? Whom you say that a blind man was born. That doesn't really fit the context, does it? Rather, it's, this is your son, whom you say that the subject is the he of eganethe, that he was born, and tu flas is describing the state or the condition in which he was born. he was born blind. He was born being blind. Now, they go on. And remember, this is a question mark, right? So, let me just drag that over here. So, there's that question mark there. How do we want to render this then, if this is a question? Yeah, is this your son, whom you say that he was born blind? Pos un blepe arti.
How therefore he sees now.
Yes, now, this is a question. So how are you going to have to translate this verb? If it's a question, you got to add the do auxiliary verb, right? So therefore, how does he see now? Yeah. Therefore, how does he see now? Apikrithe? Yep, he answered. And the un, again, goes before in English. Therefore, he said. Now, ekenos. That's a demonstrative word. Is it near or far? It's the far demonstrative. So, therefore, that one said. Now, who's the that one here? He's omitted information, right? You see that ellipse, the ellipsis dots here? So you're missing crucial information, but in the context, that one is referring to the blind man. Okay? It's probably because they were just talking about Jesus. So there's another masculine singular entity in the discourse. And now when John goes back to talking about the blind man or the formerly blind man, he uses a demonstrative to refer to that one, okay? Yeah, that blind man. So that one. Now, most of your translations are going to say he here, okay? But just be aware that there's a reason in Greek that ekenos is used. So that one, therefore that one answered. And so here's what he said. E hamartolos esten. What's a mean? If sinner he is. So put that in good English. If he's a sinner, uk oida. I do not know. Okay? Or if you want to put the uk oida first, because that's really the main clause, I do not know if he's a sinner. Okay? Hen oida. What's hen? This is not en. This is hen. This is one. What gender is hen? Don't you dare tell me feminine. Hens are female when we're dealing with chickens, right? But this is neuter. So how do you want to translate this? One thing. One thing I know. Okay, that's neuter. So go ahead and use a neuter word in English. One thing I know. What case is hen here then? Okay, if you've learned, boneheads. If you haven't been following my instructions, then you won't immediately think, the lexical form is what? Heis, mia, hen. So hen is my neuter nominative form, but neuters have the same nominative and accusative. So, since oida is I know, this has to be the accusative singular neuter form, okay? So, one thing I know, or I know one thing. What is it that I know? This hati clause gives me the content. That, to floss own, and he gives you a footnote here. This is literally being blind, or although being blind, arti blepo. Now I see. Okay? This is a participle. We're not going to learn participles for a good long while.